So I'm Arman Khodaei, a 24-year-old individual with high-functioning autism. Today's video, I'm going to discuss emotions from my perspective of autism and what I've noticed in other people with autism as to whether or not we experience emotions and how we experience emotions. So, do I experience emotions? Of course I do. I believe that almost every human being experiences emotions. You know, there might be some people with autism that do not, and some people that don't even have autism that do not. You know, those who are very spiritual, who meditate a lot, who let go of everything, spiritual leaders, etc. They may not experience emotions, you know, by training themselves. I do know one person with autism who I think has a very limited experience of emotions, but he does not. He wants to experience emotions, but he doesn't feel like he does. And when I was in high school, I really wanted to feel empathy, you know, understand what other people were experiencing, because I could be really happy and they would be really sad. I'd be sad, they'd be happy, and you know, I couldn't feel the other people. And the empathy issue, I think, is more common than not experiencing emotions, period, for people with autism. However, though, I have become more empathetic with time. I'm not the most empathetic person, and that's a good thing, and you know, it's a good thing and a bad thing. You know, I think it's actually more of a good thing, because now I am more empathetic. I can feel emotions when I want to, or I can at least see where someone's coming from. And I have the choice, you know, usually to shut myself off if I want to, but I am very sensitive to people's emotions now. And what really helped out with that was, you know, my first breakup, you know, from my first love. And I know I talked about that a lot, but it's a defining moment, and that really has helped me to find empathy. And it has also helped me appreciate the kindness of other people more. You know, before then, you know, people would do things for me, and I'd have no appreciation. I wouldn't know the troubles that people would go through for me, and so that's been very helpful. So, as a child, how did I experience emotions? Now, anxiety was very common with me as a child, and anxiety is very common with a lot of people with autism, and I've gradually felt less and less anxiety, and the anxiety is coming from going against the grain, and just not fitting in, you know, not for different reasons. You know, the brain is doing whatever. I'm not 100% sure why it is, but I do know it's because we're not 100% staying true to ourselves as people with autism. And you know, like when I stopped having milk, that really helped me diminish some of that anxiety. So there was a lot of negative emotions. I also felt a lot of abandonment, so a lot of sadness as I was little, but also a lot of positive emotions. Usually when I was just playing with my G.I. Joe figures and doing nothing else, or maybe playing in the mud, or doing something that on my own, and no distractions and no unpredictable things. And that was pretty good. As a teen, you know, like when I entered middle school, you know, there's no more recess, you know, less playtime, and I was disconnected from the people as a whole. And I didn't realize, you know, I didn't really have any friends, and I didn't realize, you know, that maybe I would want friendships. And you know, as far as me, you know, I want maybe like one close friendship at most, but I don't really want any, you know, too many in-my-face relationships, you know, is overwhelming. And as a teen, though, there was no relationships with practically anyone, and so I felt a lot of isolation. I didn't realize it. So isolation is, of course, you know, like a form of sadness, but you just don't realize the sadness. You know, there could have been a little happiness, you know, towards the tail end. You know, I really got into Star Wars, and collecting things and having a big collection made me happy because I had a sense of accomplishment, because I had a huge collection. I had, I believe, 7 bookshelves of a crap load of toys, completely filled, boxes upon boxes of stuff, just tons of boxes. I had about 20 standees. I had a room that was the size, I think it was even larger than a living room. My bedroom was huge. It was filled to the brim with Star Wars items. So, because I had a huge collection, I had a sense of accomplishment. That made me feel good. But if it weren't for my collection, I probably would have felt like crap. And otherwise, you know, especially when that was also around the time that I really tried to push myself, try to become more like other people, to actually make my mom happy, because she was so sad. She thought I wasn't getting anywhere in my life. She thought my life was going to be very unsuccessful, that I'd live in the house for the rest of life, and I'm still living in my house, so maybe, well, she's not right. I am going to move out, and I'm going to be very successful, so I'm not worried about that, but she was very worried, so I really pushed myself socially. I hated that. Hated that. So the emotions I felt there was a lot of anxiety, a lot of overwhelmment, some forms of anger, especially before that time period. I was getting bullied a lot in different ways. I took my anger out by mangling things, and I imagined I was killing my tormentors in my life, whoever they were. It was a very dark period in my life. So, moving on, early adulthood, I started to become more spiritual, actually, because of my parents getting divorced, and I was kind of at a loss, and I just stumbled across, some spiritual teaching books or whatever, and they taught me about meditation, letting go of things. So I was trying to force happiness. So it helped out a little bit, and so I became more happier as a result of that. Starting to learn how to become more in line, more going to the flow, letting go of the things that don't really matter. So, moving on, how can someone with autism experience emotions, especially the more positive emotions, such as happiness? I think one of the tricks, and I think this actually applies to anyone with autism or not, I think when we enter our teen years, adult years, there's an expectation from society, because of what everybody says. You have to be this way, you have to be a little bit miserable because you have to have a job, and there's no fun. What I think we need is a 45-minute a day recess where we play with Play-Doh, we do jump rope, we write in the rolls if we want to. I'm serious. If you own a house, or if you're renting a place, whatever, you obviously can't run the walls. But if you own a house, go for it. Write on the walls. If you want to sell off your house, just paint the walls back. But just being a kid, doing kid-like things, playing in the mud for 45 minutes a day. Just having fun, not worrying about what other people think, I think can really help bring out the happiness. And I think if you do this with someone with autism, it can also make them more happy. If you do this with your whole family, have a 45-minute recess and say, this is just recess time. Otherwise these behaviors are not appropriate. We don't want to do this in public or otherwise. I'm not encouraging starting up these behaviors, but I'm saying that we do need a timeout from the monotony. We need a timeout from the boring garbage of our lives, and we need to have fun. And so we need to do fun things, And if we have anger let out, get a punching bag, start punching it, pop, pop. We got to do these fun things, and that will help open up our emotions more, I believe. We need to let go, and I think they'll help out the flow. And another thing, moving on. And actually I was this way. I felt like a robot before, especially high school, middle school. I felt like a robot. I could really relate to Spock and Data from Star Trek. I feel like that these two characters, one was a robot, an android, one was an alien, half human, that had no emotions, or the emotions were limited, or they were on. Actually, Spock, is very much represents autism, because on the outside there's no emotions, but if you can get him to pop, you realize that there's a lot of raw emotions underneath there. And I think that's how it's like with autism. Or I know that's how it's like with autism. That's how it was like for me. There'd be these deep hidden emotions that hide off from everyone else. And that's how it's like with everyone. With a lot of people with autism, we hide ourselves. We hide our emotions. We don't know how to experience them. We're either afraid to express them. We don't know how to express them. And that's what we are, deep down. And some of us, or we're like Dad. We want to experience the emotions, but we don't know how to experience it. We want to be more human, but we don't know how to be more human. And so that's definitely something that I could really relate to. And sometimes I think this has a lot to do with partly the autism, but also partly with human behavior in society as a whole. The human behavior, some of it's baffling. People without autism do really strange things, and they do really boring things, and it doesn't make any sense, like they have 2 or 3 hour conversations, Like they like invite people for dinner and then they're like blah 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 blah, and you're like, okay, what's the point here? You know, it's boring. You're like, yeah, whatever. And there's a lot of more baffling things. That's just one example of 1,000. You know, I could go on, but I'm not going to. So, and then sometimes, you know, we want to be human. People with autism, I want to be human, but other times I don't want to be human. I don't want to be autistic either. I want to be something else. I don't know what I want to be. It's confusing. And this is because of a mixture of anxiety, emotions, confusion about society and culture. All these things add to the confusion. So anyway, it's a big topic, emotions. No, if you have autism, please respond to this video.